is Jackie Woodside? Jackie Woodside is a USA Today, four-time Amazon best-selling author, TEDx speaker, international trainer, and professional coach. She's the founder of Curriculum for Conscious Living and the Conscious Living Summit. A podcast is one of those. And then trains coaches around the world to deliver this life-changing work. Jackie's been featured on television shows with Jack Canfield and Don Miguel Ruiz, who is the author of The Four Agreements, I believe, and educational summits with Marianne Williamson, Michael Beckwith, and Daniel Siegel. Her expertise is widely sought after as a teacher and speaker. Jackie is a certified professional coach and licensed psychotherapist with 30 years experience in both fields. Now, I have to interject here. So as she and I were talking, and I said, I'm putting you on the day about mental health. And Jackie's like, I haven't talked about mental health in a really long time. And I saw her frequency go down as she thought about trying to approach the mental health topic from the frequency that the mental health topic is usually approached. And I said, oh, no. Come back up. We're still going into the consciousness discussion. We're just doing it in a way that addresses mental health. And I also invited her to segue with her money vibe approach, because I liked doing that yesterday. It's kind of like, let's bridge it from day 2 when we talked about financial fulfillment. So I'll just mention also, she's the author of Younger Self Letters, How Successful Leaders and Entrepreneurs Turn Trials into Triumph. Also, Money Vibe, your financial freedom formula, whether you have money or not. Doesn't that sound amazing? Calming the chaos, managing your energy rather than your time, and Time for a Change, essential skills for managing the inevitable. So Inc. magazine selected Calming the Chaos as one of their top 10 motivational books, co-author of Younger Self Letters, How Successful Leaders and Entrepreneurs Turn Trials into Triumph. So it's just like, there's so much that she could probably speak on. I just feel really grateful she accepted the invitation, like super honored.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie Woodside. Thank you so much for being here for this amazing summit. Christine, congratulations on putting this together and bringing all these beautiful souls to this place. And Jalen's so funny. Look at her over there working while she's listening to us. So yeah, Christine said the topic was mental health, and I was a psychotherapist for 30 years. So it was a big part of my life, big part of my career. I've also been a professional coach for 30 years. No, I'm not 90 years old. I overlapped 2 of those fields for 15 years. And so, yeah, I like to say all I really know is the human condition. It's all I really know. I can't fix things. I'm not very good with finance. I don't know how to build things. But anything to do with human beings, I can definitely solve that for you. So what I want to spend I do want to have the opportunity to interact with you. Again, because I was a therapist, maybe just because who I am, I'm deeply relational. Here's what I know about transformation. It does not happen on a one-way street, and it does not happen in a vacuum. People change in relationship with other people, and that relationship can be a marriage, or it can be a half hour on a webcast. But it really is the relationship that changes people. So I'm hoping today that we have the opportunity that you see something in me, you hear something in me, or we have some kind of an exchange where your life ends up being better because of the time you spent here. I didn't wake up this morning thinking, oh, I hope I make no difference in the world today. Right? I woke up today excited about being here with each and every one of you and wanting to make a difference in your experience of life. So engage with me. If you have questions, put up your physical hand or your electronic hand, drop a note in the chat, but be here with me. So as Christine said, when she asked me to speak on mental health, I was like, well, I certainly have a background in that, but it's not really the work I do any longer. I am what I call and consider myself to be a consciousness teacher. A consciousness teacher. So I want to distinguish between, in my body of work, the difference between your consciousness and your mental health. So consciousness, a lot of people use the word consciousness and awareness to mean the same thing. If you're conscious, you're aware. And I do not use those words simultaneously. I say that your awareness, meaning your ability to observe your thoughts and emotions and your attitudes and behavior, okay? Your awareness, your ability to act, I should say accurately, your ability to accurately observe your inner world, so that your awareness is your access to being able to raise your consciousness. Did you guys follow that? Your awareness is your access to being able to change and elevate your consciousness. You guys get that? Awesome. I see you writing things down. Jalen, I don't know how you're writing down while you're answering the phone and shuffling paperwork, but look at you taking notes. You're awesome. So then what do I mean by consciousness? So again, because the field is fairly new, the field of consciousness studies is fairly new, there is literally not one agreed upon definition of consciousness. Isn't that interesting? This whole field of study, and there is no one agreed upon definition of consciousness, which for me as a consciousness teacher is kind of cool, because then I get to make up my own and nobody can tell me I'm wrong. So thank you very much. I have made up my own. My definition of consciousness, and you know, if others of you are students of consciousness and you don't agree with this, fine. I'm not saying mine is the right definition, but it is important for us to have a working definition in order to have this time together. So my definition of consciousness is the vibratory pattern that gets created by your inner world of belief, emotion, attitude, and thought. So it's the vibratory pattern that gets created by how you think and feel, how you perceive. Now, that's not, I didn't just, well, I did make that up, but I didn't just make it up. We know that if we hook you up to an electromagnetogram and we show you disturbing images and pictures, and then we show you beautiful, relaxing, loving pictures, your energy that can be measured by your thoughts and emotions changes. If we hook you up to an electrocardiogram, your heartbeat will change, your blood pressure will change. So your inner world creates an energy and a vibration around you. There was an article published about 7 years ago in Scientific American that said, the title of it, "The hippies were right. It is all about your vibe." Scientific American about 7 years ago, the hippies were right. It is all about your vibe. So that's in Scientific American magazine. What we know now, and you've had this experience, but what we know now is that your inner world creates an outer experience. Now, how I want to make you familiar with this, even more familiar, you know what it's like when you meet someone. And maybe, you know, you see somebody across the room, or you meet someone for the first time. For some people, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what it is about them. I just love their vibe. And it's easy to talk to them, and you chat back and forth, and the time just flies, right? You all know that experience. You just meet them and you're like, I don't know what it is about them. I just like their vibe. And then someone else you meet and you're like, I don't know what it is about that person. I just don't dig their vibe. You picking up what I'm putting down here? We've all had that experience. It is science. Now, okay, so you with me so far? So your inner world of belief, emotion, attitude, and thought, by the way, that spells beat, B-E-A-T, belief, emotion, attitude, and thought. Your beat creates your vibe, that creates your life. Should we sing that all together? Make a little song. Your beat, your inner world of belief, emotion, attitude, and thought, your thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. I just created it into an acronym so it was easier to remember. How you see and perceive yourself, life, the world, creates a resonant field that is the attractor pattern that has life respond to you. Listen to this. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you believe. The universe can only match the resonant energy that you are. So if you want, $1 million, but you believe that your value in the world is $1.99, it's not a match. It's not a resonant match. So in order to bring in more of what you want in life, you have to, and this sounds so like Harry, Fairy, and New Age, but it's science. It is not Harry, Fairy, and New Age. You have to be a vibratory match for your desire. I remember the first time I heard that. Oh, thanks, Tamara. That was really sweet. I was reading the chat, sorry. I remember the first time I heard something like that. It was on like one of those decks of cards with quotes. And it was an Abraham Hicks deck. And I pulled out this card that says, if you don't have what you want in life, it's because you've yet to become a vibratory match for what you desire. And I thought, that's such bunk. Who thinks like that? Who says stuff like that? Well, now here I am. I'm the one teaching that. That was many years ago. But what I want you to know is I'm not just, well, I am making it up, but I'm not just making it up. This is scientific fact. So whether it's money or relationship or a new home, no matter what your desire is in life, the universe will only match the vibratory pattern that you are. As you think and feel and believe, that creates the energetic pattern that the universe responds to. Let me check the chat here. Danny says, life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you believe. Awesome. She says, that's truth. It's important to know that this is your beat. I'm so clumsy. I am clumsy. So I am clumsy. I don't get it, Pamela. But what I will say about that, well, let's just take Pamela's example. I'm so clumsy, or I'm so disorganized, or I'm so busy. How many of you have a I'm so, right? Whatever it is, right? I'm so, fill in the blank. A lot of people, it's disorganized or frazzled or, whatever. When you have that sense of like, I'm so blank, and it's a negative self-perception, here's how you begin to alter it. You add the phrase, I've been that way up until now. I'm so clumsy. I was so clumsy up until now. I'm so disorganized. I've been disorganized up until now, because what you're affirming every time you say, I am so, fill in the blank, you are sending that vibratory pattern out to the universe to give you more of that. That's what you're doing. And the access to this is your ability to be aware. So your consciousness is general, your consciousness is, I'm so that, like whatever, let's pick one. I'm so disorganized. I'm such a procrastinator, right? That's your consciousness. That negative self-talk is reflecting the consciousness that you live in. Through the beautiful magic gift of self-awareness, your ability to observe yourself, you have the capacity to say, oh, wait a minute, that's not going to serve me. In fact, let me teach you this very, very simple method of raising your consciousness. It's so simple, people think it has to be harder than this. I'm going to teach you a method that I call the 3 C's method of how to change your consciousness. It's so simple. First C, you catch it. You practice self-awareness. Oh, I'm so disorganized. Oh, wait, I catch it. Oh, I'm so broke. Right? Oh, I'm so down. The first thing you do is you see yourself saying that thing out loud or to yourself. So it's a thought or it's an expression, right? You catch it. Second thing, you challenge it. How do you challenge it? How do you challenge your own thinking? Well, you simply talk back to it. Yes, I am talking about talking to yourself. And yes, you do that all the freaking time, right? You have an inner dialogue all the freaking time. So I'm just saying, do it consciously. You talk back to it. Wait a minute. Is that thought going to serve me? Does that thought serve me? Does that thought give me the experience of myself that I want to have? Does that thought or feeling, by the way, does that thought or feeling empower me? Is that thought or feeling going to create the future that I want to live into? And even, is that thought true? Now, maybe be like, well, yeah, it is true. I am a procrastinator. Well, it's been true up until now. See, you're not a product of your past. You are a product of your present self-talk and beliefs. You are a product of your current consciousness. Now, yes, perhaps that consciousness got formed by the culture that you live in and the experiences you've had in the past. But in any moment that you practice these 3 C's, catch it, second one, challenge it. I'll teach you the third one in just a second. Any moment that you practice awareness and begin changing your inner world, you can create your life newly. So the third C, you've caught it, which simply means pay attention, practice self-awareness. You've challenged it. Oh gosh, that's silly. Is that going to create what I want? No. Is it true? No. Do I want this to go forward? No. Right? So what's the third C? It's obvious if you're paying attention. Change it. You change it. What is going to serve you? Instead of I'm such a procrastinator, I'm learning better skills every day. I'm becoming more efficient every day. Instead of I'm so disorganized, I'm bringing more order to my life in this now moment. I'll give you an example for myself. This is so funny. So I'm flying to Dubai. I live in Massachusetts. I'm flying to Dubai this afternoon, to the United Arab Emirates. I'm going to be in Abu Dhabi and Ajman and Dubai for the next week. And I'm going by myself. And I'm a bit of a homebody. I like to be home. I do enjoy travel. I generally travel with my spouse. And when I travel with my spouse, I simply kind of like walk around like a puppy on the leash. And I don't have to think because my spouse does all of the thinking for me. So I'm doing this big trip and I'm going by myself. So I woke up this morning and I thought, oh my God, I go today. I'm not going. I don't think I should go. This is not a good idea. I woke up in my humanness, right? Do I look like the girl that would wake up with those thoughts? Do I look like that? I appear fairly competent. I appear fairly confident. No, I woke up with absolute abject terror, deciding that I should not go. Now, is that thought going to serve me? Oh, and by the way, I'm going to visit a member of the royal family who is hosting me for a week and introducing me to a bunch of his colleagues who spoke. He spoke at the World Economic Forum last week. The Sheikh 𝐵𝐵𝐷𝐿_Al_Nawawi. He's called the Green Sheikh. If you want to look him up, I'll be chilling with him next week when I go to Dubai. So I woke up with just my human nature. Fear, dread, terror, don't do this. Because the ego serves to keep me safe. The ego serves to keep me safe. Thank you, Christine. The ego serves to keep me safe. So if it's new, if it's unknown, if it's unpredictable, what does the ego say? No, don't do that. But I have the ability to catch it. So I'm not even out of bed yet. I'm literally still in bed. And wake up with this terror, catch it. There's my anxiety because I'm doing something big and unknown. This is really unfamiliar to me. Challenge it. Well, I could cancel. I could not go. I have that freedom to choose. Is that going to create the experience of myself that I want to have? Is that going to create a world of infinite possibility of what might happen between the Sheikh and I and who I'll meet by going to Dubai? No. Is this the person I want to be? No. Change it. Rather than interpreting those butterflies in my stomach and those sweaty palms as fear, I'm really excited. I am really looking forward to the untold possibilities that will emerge in this new experience in life. I'm excited for the opportunity to notice myself as brave and courageous to go off into this new culture and opportunity. Catch it, challenge it, change it. It's that simple. And you have that opportunity every minute of every day. Let me just check the chat. Amazing World Tour Track sounds much like A Course in Miracles. Okay, Danny, not sure what part of that exactly you mean, but I've certainly read and studied A Course in Miracles. Love it. Thank you for breaking down the 3 C's. Yeah. Awesome. So in your workbook, you guys all good with where I'm at with this? So this is how you create your world. If you didn't have that capacity that I just taught you, the 3 C's, you might, maybe a different example, but you might wake up with some fear or dread of something new that you're doing and believe it. Believe that it was a really bad idea. I've seen people do, I'm sure you've done it yourself. I've seen people do this all the time. Like, oh, I don't trust people. I'm not going to have another relationship because you can't trust men. You can't trust women. You see people do this all the time. They're rewriting their future based on their past, and they're limiting the crap out of themselves. That's not why you're here. So what I'm talking about is the capacity for you to, at any moment, create a new experience of life. In fact, one of the things that I teach, I have a course called Living in the Domain of Miracles. One of the things I teach in that course and in my life design course is that your purpose in life, the reason that you incarnated, why you are here in physical form, your purpose in life is to grow in consciousness. Meaning the capacity to ongoingly catch, challenge, and change, the low vibration thought and feelings that your ego brings forth, and transmute them into the light of consciousness. Does that make sense? I don't know how much I'm doing like spiritual teacher speak. I want it to be like simple and relatable. So if any like words like transmute and I don't know, is this okay? Are you guys with me? Awesome sauce. Okay. So in your workbook, I don't know if everybody has it, but sounds a lot what Wayne Dyer taught. It's so funny. You know what I look forward to when people be like, that's what Jackie Woodside teaches. That sounds a lot like what Jackie Woodside teaches. I do hear that occasionally. Friends of mine will tell me, you know, one of my minister this week taught the 3 C's method from Jackie Woodside, or my minister this week at my Unity Church used your vibe model to teach us about raising consciousness. Anyway, that's an honor. Wayne Dyer was certainly an extraordinary spiritual teacher and mentor. Course in Miracles is a beautiful, beautiful, transformative path. Limiting beliefs keep us stuck like a leash on a dog. Yes, we're allowed to go so far before they jerk us back. Oh, that's so great, Chloe. I love that. Eternal truth is eternal to all teachers. Yeah, exactly, Melody. Thank you for that. So I want to go back to your purpose, right? So your purpose, why you incarnated as a human being, is to grow in consciousness back to the divinity from which you came. You were one with spirit. You were, before you took a physical form, your etheric nature was one with spirit. You took physical form and you physically just forgot that you are one with God, one with spirit. And your human life, the purpose of your human life is to grow in consciousness back to the divinity from which you came. So in your workbook, I don't know if everybody has it, but I'll talk you through one of my models, my consciousness model that is there in the workbook. And it's a 4-level, there we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's so beautiful. So that's what's there. Does everyone have that, Christine? Does everyone have the workbook, or is that something?
No, but we can also add things for people to use. The workbook was
just add that,
optional
like
purchase.
put that just this model for people to download.
Yeah, we can get that for people.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, just put it for people to download. So let me just talk you through it. So like, what does it mean anyway to raise your consciousness, right? There's a quote that I like to use from George Bernard Shaw that I feel highlights what it means to raise consciousness. And let me share it with you. George Bernard Shaw once wrote, "I would rather be a force of nature than a feverish, selfish clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making me happy." Isn't that awesome? So what does it mean to grow in consciousness? That you give up being a selfish, feverish clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy, and you become a force of nature. A force of nature, a person who is self-empowered, who's clear about who you are, clear about your contribution in the world. So the model that I teach, where a lot of people are living today is on the lower levels. If you think of this through the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, level 1 consciousness is where you're just the victim. It's a victim consciousness. Life is happening to you. And it's like, well, I'd like to do better in life, but it's just too hard. I would like to do better in life, but it's just too hard. And it's too hard, so screw it. Any addict has said that. Any addict who's, gotten themselves into a 12-step meeting, it's just too hard, screw it. And sometimes you feel that way. Whatever the it is, like work is too hard, money's too hard, relationships are too hard, life is too hard, it's just too hard. So you're just gonna sit this one out. You're gonna sit on the stoop and watch life go by, and largely complaining that life is not devoting itself to making you happy. That is level 1 consciousness. I call it survival consciousness. You are in survival. Okay, got me? It's the victim level of consciousness. And then, I don't know, maybe you go to a 12-step meeting, or you go to a Unity Church service, or you take some beautiful summit sponsored by Christine Hull, and you grow in consciousness. And you learn, okay, all right, maybe I'm not just the victim of life. I can take on life, but I've got to work really hard. The second level of consciousness that I teach is called stress consciousness. It's where, okay, maybe I can do a little bit, but it's going to be really hard. And that's how you experience life. So you're driven and you're stressed. And in fact, that is the name of level 2 consciousness. It is called stress consciousness. Level 2 is called stress consciousness. And you're anxious and driven and frustrated and angry. And there's there's more energy expended at level 2 than at level 1. At level 1, it's life is hard, just screw it. At level 2, it's life is hard and I got to get after it. Right? You identifying with that, folks? This is where most of mainstream America is living. High level 1, low level 2, somewhere between it's hard and screw it, and it's hard and I better get to work. Road rage, political discourse, all of these various things that we're seeing in our world are evidence of that level of consciousness. Oh, there it is. Beautiful. All right. So you see that survival stress. Thank you so much. It's really nice of you for put that up. Now, you go a whole week with Christine Hull's beautiful summit, and you're listening to all these amazing speakers, and then you raise in consciousness and you become a person who is living in transformation consciousness. What that means is you've gotten out of the life is hard, and you've gotten into the truth that life just is. And the more I align with the spiritual principles of life, the easier life becomes. Therefore, I can live with a sense of compassion and hope and clarity and optimism. It's not that life is hard. Life just is. If anything's hard, it's me. It's my consciousness. And you become the central actor in your experience of life, ability to take full responsibility for the way that your life is and the way that your life isn't. And as you live in that space and practice the thinking and the emotions of a transformed person, you then move into what's called transcendence consciousness, where it is a sense of being awakened, enlightened. Your experience of life is through the lens of unconditional love and peace and equanimity. It is a beautiful experience of life. So this model, if you notice the words in the center, at the lower levels of consciousness, see where it says fully outer and outer in the middle of the words in the middle of the spiral. At the lower levels of consciousness, where you locate the power and authority and the problem of your life is either fully outer or out there. The problem's out there. And as you grow in consciousness, you recognize, I am the creator of my world. You may not create every circumstance in your life. Listen to me. You may not create every circumstance in your life, but you are always creating your experience of your circumstances. Making that distinction is critical to understanding this model. At level 1 and 2, survival and stress, it's all happening to me and I have no say about it. Maybe at level 2, it's like, well, the only say I have about it is to work really hard. But as you move into level 3 and 4, you recognize I am the creator. I am the constant creator of my experience of life. Okay, you can take that down so I can see people. I'm going to pause there. Let me just go to the chat for 1 second. I see a bunch of messages in there. Well, we hold to the familiar. So when we are learning, it's unfamiliar and it feels hard. Yeah, there's some neuroscience behind that, Lisa. When you're learning something new, when you're like, say you want to practice the 3 C's. When you first start practicing it, it will feel awkward and cumbersome, and you'll think this can't possibly be effective. This can't possibly work. But what's happening is that the way that you think becomes programmed neurologically programmed into your consciousness so that it becomes your thoughts are habitual. You have the same thoughts over and over again. Trying to redirect your thoughts is exhausting. It's literally exhausting to be able to change the way that you think. But it's not impossible. It's very simple. I gave you a simple 3-step method for how to do it. That really is, and that's, by the way, based in neuroscience, of how to change your inner world. What you will come up against, though, is just like when you go for a hike, and when you walk on the trail, super easy, you enjoy the woods. When you walk off the trail, you've got to move things out of the way and, push all the branches. That's your brain trying to think differently. You're off the trail. It's easier to be in the neural pathways that you've established, but it's never going to allow you to grow in consciousness. You have to create new paths. All right, I'm going to stop there and just open this up for any questions for about 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna, for about 3 minutes, and then I'll wrap up. Anybody have anything you want to ask me? You can just take yourself off
Okay,
mute.
I really want to hear the scoop on the frequency of miracles. Tell me about creating that.
Yeah, so I'm creating a film right now, actually 2 films, one called Your Money Vibe, which is based on my body of work, my money vibe work, and another one called The Frequency of Miracles. I teach a course called Living in the Domain of Miracles. My curriculum for conscious living is called Living in the Domain of Miracles. And I was working with a filmmaker or networking really, with a filmmaker from Australia. And yeah, he's made films before and wanted to do a bit more with his career. And he loved my work around miracles. He teaches a lot about frequency. And so that's where my stuff around miracles, his stuff around frequency. We're both consciousness teachers and teach about frequency. Anyway, so we've filmed, Bruce Lipton, Marcy Shimoff, Dawson Church, Joe Vitale, Lynn Twist. We've got Michael Beckwith, Sister Jenna, Coot Blackson, just some amazing, amazing teachers who will be in both of these films, The Frequency of Miracles and Money Vibe, and they will be out later in 2025. So if you want to check out the film, sign up to get updates, go to thefrequencyofmiracles.com. And you'll be able to see who the cast is and get updates for when that will be ready to be released. All right.
Well, since we're talking about miracles,
yeah, sure.
What gets us in that frequency?
Yeah, a daily practice of inner journeying, whether it's I'll just share my morning spiritual practice. I write a letter to God every morning and ask for guidance and direction from my soul, or what does God want me to know today? Or sometimes I'll bring something specific. This morning I wrote about the trip, my trip to Dubai, and I get guidance. I do a daily gratitude list where I write down about 10 to 15 things. I fill a whole page. So it's generally 10 to 15 things that I'm grateful for, to keep my mindset really focused. I'm so good. For most of my life, I was very good at noticing what's broken or missing, what's bad about my life. So my gratitude list has changed my neurology. So I focus on what's working about life. So I write my prayers, conversations with God. I write a gratitude list, and I do spiritual reading every morning. Currently reading this book, Invincible, by my friend 𝐿_Falco. This is not even out yet because I can't see on the back of it, but I'm one of the people that endorsed it. So I got an early read on it. Anyway, 𝐿_Falco wrote the book I Am and the book Invincible. So I do spiritual reading. I write my prayers. I do a daily gratitude list. Oh, and I meditate every morning. My quiet time, my morning spiritual practice is about 2 hours long, but my son is raised and I'm self-employed, so I have that flexibility. Even if you can do 20 minutes of, write down 3 things you're grateful for, meditate for 5 minutes and say or write a prayer, and you spend 15 or 20 minutes in spiritual practice, that is a beautiful path. And then in my Living in the Domain of Miracles, I actually teach a formula for how to live life more consciously. It's first of all, cleaning up any messes in your life, establishing a strong foundation, get your outer life in good shape, because you're as within, so without. And then knowing your purpose, knowing your values, knowing your soul print, which is a mission statement, your soul print statement, knowing and then writing a vision. Do not write a vision before you know who you are. Otherwise, you will just regurgitate what life and your culture has told you your life should look like. So your vision, I teach this very differently than most coaches do. Your vision is not what do I want, but how does God want to express through and as me? And then after you do your vision, you write your goals, but I don't just do goals the way most coaches do them. I teach people to establish in advance who you're going to be when you're accomplishing your goals, when you're doing the actions. What's your way of being going to be? So everything in my body of work is always teaching people to choose and declare a higher level of consciousness.
Did I get that
Okay.
right? That was a powerful statement. How does God want to express
Through and
through
as me.
and as me?
Through and as me.
And as me. Okay.
How
Awesome.
does God want to express through and as me in this trip to Dubai? How does He
Yes.
express
Oh,
through
there
and
you
as
go.
me? Yeah, and on this summit today.
It's amazing. There was just a page on in the workbook on like the negativity bias. Did you want to address anything there?
Yeah, it's just to say, like I said a little bit, the way that you think is a little bit programmed by your past experiences and the culture you live in, but also that is mapped onto just the human condition. You are neurologically programmed to notice what's bad, wrong, or missing, to feel where you're going to be judged. Everyone has that because it's part of human evolution. It's there to keep you alive. But when you don't understand it, you think, what's wrong with me? And you have the potential mistake of believing those negative thoughts about yourself. So, and it's just part of the human condition. It's hard to know that, but I mean, I've spent, 35 years as a therapist and coach listening to people talk about their stories of their lives. It's all the same story. I'm not good enough, and they're going to find out. And then the ego does all kinds of defensiveness to make sure that that doesn't happen. That is the human condition. That's the negativity bias. All right, I need to bounce, Christine, because I'm on another summit.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
When I need
Thank
to
you
get
so
on that a
much.
little bit early. Listen, guys, it
Yeah.
was awesome to be with you. For those of you that came on camera, thank you. For those of you that
Yes.
didn't, I love you anyway. My info is here, and but really, Christine,
Yes.
thank you for putting this together and for who you are in the world, the work that you're doing in the world. Thank each and every one of
Yeah.
you for being people that want to live more consciously and create a better world through living life consciously and raising your vibration. So we're in this together. We need to stick together at some of these trying times that we're seeing around the world, but just know that eventually love always prevails.
Thank you. I am excited to have a couple of people here in our audience who found me through this video, though, that I'm going to have JoAnn play. So my background, basically it's a great segue because everything that Jackie just shared in this consciousness medicine, there's an entire little extra video and so JoAnn, it's the Quantum University one, is here ready to go. But in everything that we just heard about in this consciousness, there's a bonus video in the series, or it's a movie, but it's like the box set of What the Bleep Do We Know. So this movie, What the Bleep Do We Know, came out in 2004, and it's the consciousness. It was kind of like the debut of consciousness medicine, honestly. And it talked about quantum things, and it literally inspired Quantum University. And so Dr. Paul Drouin was at the time a doctor up in Canada. He was looking at building a university around biofeedback technology and training biofeedback practitioners. And this movie came out, and he was redirected into creating what is now known as Quantum University. So in this movie are several of the people, I don't know if they're actually the people, but it's really similar to like what Jackie was talking about in her documentary that she's creating. That there was amazing, like Bruce Lipton's, and and I think Joe Dispenza's in there, and oh my gosh, I think Michael Beckwith is in there maybe. And so there's a bunch of consciousness teachers in there teaching about what is this world that we're just now getting and understanding. And so I became one of those students in 2015 and received my doctorate from Quantum University. So in my endeavors to try to get the message out there, I did not know that I could attract something so efficient as allowing them to come in and film an alumni video in my house. And so that's where I'm gonna let Joanne share that. I would say I'm from Cache Valley, Utah, Logan, Utah. It's where I went to get my master's degree in psychology at USU, Utah State University. And I'm still here in Cache Valley, so I guess it's as good a place as any. I grew up in different places, but Cache Valley is what I call home. And I had a private practice here in Logan as well for a while. I actually worked for a number of years in substance abuse. I have what's called a SUDC, a substance use disorder counselor background. And what was interesting about that field is that addictions are not really something you can treat medically successfully. There's some understanding of medicine that can apply to treating addictions. But in my training and my own experience, I have 35 years of recovery. And my experience was I changed overnight through a powerful spiritual awakening. Before that time, in my work with addicts and substance abuse, figuring out that there was a reason that people were using. There was a chemical imbalance to begin with. And to be able to correct that the challenge was finding how to correct that without something addictive, which really was the field of natural medicine, which was the field of nutrition and amino acid therapy and many of the things that I later learned in Quantum University as well. But I began my studies in what you would call a naturopathic kind of career before it was really even official to find some of these answers. I went on from there to a private practice, and that's where I brought it all together. So that's where I would say that my role in integrative mental health was official, as I identified some of these chemical imbalances in clients, helped them find solutions naturally. Part of what I was doing in my private practice was taking people through this emotional clearing process. I actually now have developed it and refined it and defined it and created something even new that is called 0 point meridian technique. So the 0 point was part of this journey, is understanding what is it that really calms the mind and allows that extra doing to slow enough that meditation is possible. And I just developed this interest in the 0 point field. And so I kept searching for more information on the 0 point field. So all these things started to come together. So a little bit of Buddhism, a little bit of quantum entrainment, a little bit of energy healing, and I was ready for more. I started to explore, what am I going to do if I go beyond a master's degree? I always thought I was going to get a PhD in psychology, but I'd heard of Quantum University. So as I started to look at what is Quantum University about, it was about all those things. It was about working with the vital body. It was about 0 point fields. It was about the quantum solution. And it was obvious there was something there that was worth looking into further. I knew from the beginning I wanted to get a doctorate because I'd already had my master's in psychology. My goal was to get through my PhD, get it done, and I did. This was the miracle, was, it could take a while to get all the research and write the paper, but pretty much by shutting my doors and with quarantine, research was done, paper was written, and I was a graduate by September 1st of 2020. And so I had my doctorate in hand, and then it was like, now what? I loved the training part. I loved all the work that I'd done that year up to that point, and decided that's really all I wanted to do. So I actually took my 0 point meridian technique and made it, I got it through an international accreditation process so that the technique itself was accredited. And then I took the quantum wholeness meditation and created a community. And so now I have basically an academy model. So it's pretty much all online. It's, I train people for 4 months to a year to learn, and it depends on how far they want to go with it. So 4 months to a year of training, and students are getting the whole picture of, you know, how does quantum wholeness meditation work? How do we do the healing process from neurochemistry all the way to information fields, and heal ourselves, but also start to heal others. It is very fascinating to combine all that together. It was an amazing experience, and that's really what Quantum University is about the spiritual all the way to the physical, and that as beings we are all that, and that once we can heal on every level and find the solutions on every level, it all works together, we can truly be healed. You don't hear the word healing in a psychology degree, and maybe not even much in medical degrees, I don't know, but the word healing is kind of reserved. It's not scientific, but it's very real. Someone knows when they've been healed. That was so stressful when Jackie talked about, you know, waking up that morning and being like, I can relate, you know, that morning that they were coming to film. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. So I'm glad I did it, because just that video has attracted some amazing people into my world. And Maureen, I'm going to say hi. I'm so happy that you're part of, you know, what we're doing, and that I'll see you in a few weeks for liberation training. And just to kind of remind people, if you're interested in learning about that, the last in-person version of that training will be March 13th. That's a Thursday, and it'll be in Farmington, Utah. And so if you're in that area and you want to know about that before next fall, you know, that'll be the next time probably will be offered, but you can let us know and we'll get you more information. So, and I'll kind of share it throughout the summit too, here and there. So first of all, we're going to share more about a part of this, you know, in the liberation training, you get your first kind of introduction to 0 Point Meridian, and you know, and it's in a live group setting, and it's really cool. It's part of this breakthrough model of transformation. Okay, I have to know, has anybody in here heard of impact training? Done impact training? It's a Utah-based, you know, kind of oh my gosh, Karen, you and I have so much in common. I did not even realize. Okay, for those of you who have an LDS background, not just, you know, there are some. She and I were laughing because we grew up outside of Utah, and to go to the temple, it was called a trip, because we both, I didn't know this, we're in Montana and we have to go all the way to Idaho Falls. It was not just like 8 miles away. Anyway, just so you know, I learned that about her last night. And that is, so Karen is going to be introduced in just a moment. But I have to say that I did impact training like years ago, and it was transformational, and it took 4 intensive days of like heavy 12-hour, 15-hour days, and like work. And there was 100 people in the room. This is very different. Same kind of results, and then some, handful, maybe a dozen people in the room, and 5 hours. Okay, not 4 days, 5 hours. And we get it done. And then we do quantum wholeness meditation for 3 weeks to follow, and teach you where 𝐃𝐨 comes in. She helped me to kind of rename this, the meditation for the Eastern mind and the Christian heart. And that's just such a beautiful, it was, as we were on the phone, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what this is. And she confirmed, yep, that's what this is. So, so I get to introduce these beautiful women and their role in this next section that we're going to be talking about. It's called Meridian Masters. And I believe 𝐃𝐨 and Karen, were you in the same training? The first training. So I talk about in this Quantum University video that I got done, you know, in the fall of 2020. And was it that same year, 2020? Oh my gosh. So it was like literally like a month later, but it just moved so fast. That year was like one of those years that I don't understand. And so I'm literally starting this training at that fall after getting my PhD. And so 𝐃𝐨 was in that first training, and so was Karen. And the results of that were definitely not just a few practitioners, but over time, it's been dozens of practitioners that have been trained in it. And we're going to talk a little bit about the research, a little bit about how EFT is kind of like this, about how EMDR is a little bit like this, but how this is unique.